So, in the interests of fairness and balance, last video I put out was 5 reasons why I feel like you could or should give One Punch Man World a shot. And honestly, in this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 reasons why I think you should avoid this game. Okay? So, reason number 1, and I think this might be a little bit more applicable if you are playing on PC hardware versus playing on mobile hardware, okay? Ultimately, it is an arena battler, okay? When you go in and you play the actual combat, which hopefully we can get to a combat stage here and we will be able to see it, but when you get to the actual combat itself, you will quickly realise that it is a pretty stereotypical arena combat game, okay? So what I mean by that, stereotypical, if you've played games like My Hero Academia, Strongest Hero, if you've played games along the lines of Demon Slayer, you know, there's too many to mention, but they all very much share a very similar battle style. That battle style being, you will have an enemy you fight in a larger open arena, and your attacks all sort of home in towards said enemy, and that means that when you're battling, while you are obviously fighting in a 3D space, it's always kind of pulling you towards the enemy that you're fighting, so you're always going to be essentially hitting your target, you know. You'll quickly zoom towards them when you attack from too far, all this type of stuff. You know the type of game. If you've played Dragon Ball games in the past or anything like that, they all share very similar gameplay styles, okay? But this game's a gacha, okay? This game is going to artificially gate you from progressing, whether it's going to make the ability to level up be difficult, which either will take a good period of time, or it's going to want you to spend money to level up, to buy the required or the necessary equipment to level up. Ultimately, this game wants to milk you while you're playing. That, by definition, that's how these mobile gacha type games work. So it's going to want you to continually spend money to get the best experience, basically. And if you're playing on PC hardware particularly, there's really no reason to do that, because you can get the same gameplay experience by buying one of those games I've already mentioned, whether it be an older One Piece game, whether it be a Dragon Ball game, whether it be Demon Slayer or My Hero Academia, Strongest Hero. You can pretty much get the same gameplay experience for a one-off purchase without having to worry about these artificial roadblocks that are trying to stop you progressing, that are trying to get money from you, that want you to roll randomly to try to get all the characters to play as within the game. You are going to basically have a neutered experience. So you are going to have a bit of a neutered experience playing on PC hardware, essentially on any hardware. This game is basically a console game that has these artificial points in it that is going to want you to spend money, okay? And again, if you're already playing on a device that's more than capable of playing a full-blooded game that does the same thing, does it not make sense to either buy a game in a sale that's a one-off purchase of like $10, $12, whatever, and you've got the full game, you've got the full experience, rather than having this drip-fed experience and ultimately experiencing the same thing? I just feel like for that type of player, you can get this potentially better elsewhere, and it's not a gacha, you know, it's not a gacha. Sure, if you love the One Punch Man franchise, that's a different story, but if you're enjoying the gameplay, if you want to play a game like this on this type of hardware, then you may as well just buy the full thing. To me, it makes sense. Just buy an actual game that delivers this experience. You don't have to worry about all the gacha economics and stuff like that. You can just have fun with the game without any of that artificial nonsense. So that is kind of reason 1 and reason 2, to be honest, of why I think this game is worth avoiding if you are someone who is thinking about it. Point 2, point 3, not sure what one it actually is. It's quite greedy. It is quite greedy. The rates are not great for gacha. I mean, they're probably average. A lot of games are average, but this game has pity at 60 pulls, and unfortunately it has what we refer to as 50-50 pity. So what that means is there is two systems in this game. You can get a character, or you can get their, we'll call them equips. They're called arms, okay? But we'll call them equips. You don't know what you're going to get, okay? Whereas if you play something like Genshin Impact, you have a 50% chance of getting any character or the featured character, but you're always going to get a character when you hit pity. This game's not like that. You, the first time, might get the character or a character, but you could just as well get a bit of equipment. And if you're someone who's saved up, if you're free to play and you've saved up a long time, you finally have went through 5 rolls or 10 rolls of misery, you're on your 6th multi after saving up all your currency, and then you see that flashing colour that symbolises you've finally pulled an SSR, and then it turns out that's nothing but a memory or an equip. That really does make you feel a little bit deflated, and that is the peril of gacha. That is the thing that can be quite disheartening. And if you are someone who plays on mobile, then okay, there's not a lot of alternatives out there for this type of game. But if you're someone who's playing on PC, you could have just been playing another full bloodied arena fighter that is set in another anime franchise that you absolutely love. So for that reason, I do feel like it's probably worthwhile avoiding. Ultimately, that's it. Point number 4, and this one is going to be controversial considering one of the other games that I cover.
Yep.
And that is going to be who publishes the game. The game's published by A+ and Crunchyroll, and when it comes down to their history as publishers, now I've got to be clear here, publishers, developers, they're two different things, okay? But Crunchyroll and A+ seem to have a lot of bad luck when it comes to publishing games by developers that give up quite quickly. You just need to look at things like My Hero Academia, The Strongest Hero. The game's not had any content updates for like 2 years. And the reason I mention that game is that's actually quite similar to this, albeit slightly different. But again, you never know when the plug's going to be pulled on a game like this, and that could be said for any gacha. So this isn't me trying to like doom post or put people off of playing because, oh my god, Crunchyroll, you should avoid. It's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is they've had a bit of bad luck in this space, and with licensed games, which is what this is, there's very little control at the end of the day, and basically as soon as the developer decides, okay, we're not making enough money, then they don't care. They abandon ship. And I just feel like if you want this kind of experience, you can quite easily get it playing something else that you just buy outright. And again, that for me is part of the issue. I feel like games like this, even Genshin to a certain degree, although that's slightly different, games like this are really full games that they've tacked on gacha elements to make them into mobile games, and I don't necessarily always think that's what people are looking for. With mobile games, people generally are looking for a little bit more of a casual experience where you can easily jump in and jump out. They don't expect you to make it your main game, whereas this game, to really get into the meat of it, you're going to spend a lot of time toing and froing, doing a lot of kind of filler type content just to pad out the runtime and stuff like that. For me, I just feel like it's not really the best experience for a mobile, right? I do actually think it works better myself on a handheld, a PC handheld, or a PC itself, but then you stray into that territory of, wait, why would you play this when you can just go ahead and play something like My Hero Academia, The Strongest Hero, or even the other One Punch Man game on PC, which ultimately isn't necessarily as good. Finally, and this is the biggest point for me that I think is quite important. Let's be honest, One Punch Man. What does everyone love about One Punch Man? Sure, you love the secondary characters. Like, there's loads of people out there that love Genos and Moomin Rider and stuff like that, but I mean, let's be real, everyone likes One Punch Man because of Saitama. One Punch Man, like full-blooded One Punch Man. The humour, the comedy, everything about it. The fact that he can obliterate everyone with one punch is what makes it funny, right? The whole point in that show is him never coming up against something that he cannot just beat with one punch. That is literally the premise for the show, and it's the hook for the show, and it's what people ultimately enjoy about the show, because that is where most of the drama, the fun, and everything else comes from. In games, in this game, you're never going to be able to get that, because if you are able to summon for full power Saitama, as in yellow costume, everything, then the game's over, because One Punch, unless they break their own rules, you'll never be able to play as Saitama, okay? Now, they did handle this probably in a decent way with the other game, which is the console game. I think it's called One Punch Man, The Hero That No One Knows, or something like that. You couldn't go on there either. You had to go the secondary cast, and basically you had to essentially buy time until he arrived and he would finish the fight. That they knew that was the gimmick, that was what they had to basically do, right? In this, they, I guess, can kind of do that, but ultimately you're never going to be able to summon for the proper version of that character that you want, okay? Yes, there'll be different versions like Dream Saitama, like Work Saitama, but ultimately we all want to play as Yellow Suit One Punch Man. We don't want to play as Saitama going to get the groceries and stuff like that. And realistically, it's just not going to happen. So I mean, maybe that's more of a comment on how realistically that One Punch Man is probably not actually the most suitable franchise for a game. And again, while we're fighting here, you can see, look, just this is what an arena battler is. I fight, I press the button, I'll zoom towards the enemy. Even though we've got this big wide open space, the game will always auto-target. If you play any of these arena battlers, you will know that this is how these games are. They all play in a very similar fashion. Now, because I'm not sure if I did 5 points or I did 4, I'm going to just do one bonus point, and that is the team mechanic. I do think one thing that's lacking about it, when you've got 3 characters, when you've got 4 characters, you essentially pick one character that you can fight with, and the other characters are essentially there as support. They're there to support you, okay? Unless I'm missing it somehow, there isn't a way that you can switch characters on the fly or anything like that. To me, that seems like a bit of a missed opportunity. If you go ahead and you summon multiple characters, if you could switch to each character while you're fighting, I just feel like it would offer a little bit more of a padded experience, a little bit more to do within game. Just to be clear, I don't by any means think One Punch Man World is a bad game. I don't. I actually think it is an admirable game. It's a decent game. I just ultimately think that for what it is, which is an arena battler, because it is, that's got some open world elements and I guess some co-op. That's probably the main hook to it, the co-op, because that's what kind of makes it stand out. I feel like that experience is available in a multitude of games, and you can get that experience without having to slog through gacha elements. I actually feel the same way about Star Rail, by the way, in case anyone wonders why I'm picking on this. I'm not. I feel the same way about Star Rail. There's 101 fantastic turn-based RPGs in the world that you don't have to summon for the new characters and stuff, and I just feel like you can get that gameplay experience elsewhere. For me, when it comes to mobile games and things of that like, the experience has to be different, or I ultimately don't see the point in gachifying it. It just at that point seems like a cash grab to me, and I do feel like this game could have quite easily been made and released as either an MMO with, I guess, less gacha elements, maybe a subscription model or something, I don't know, or a flat out multiplayer console game that is available on PC, because at its core that's what it is. It's just got these constant roadblocks of gacha wanting you to summon, wanting you to grind for unnecessarily difficult elements to level up your characters and stuff, and these quasi-RPG elements that really aren't RPG, they're simply just there to stifle your progress. I just feel like you can get that as good, if not better, with other titles such as Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia, Strongest Hero, Dragon Ball, what's it called, Xenoverse, and all that type of stuff. That is the type of gameplay that they're delivering to you. Again, if above all else you just need to play a One Punch Man game, then they won't deliver that, and this game will. And again, I'm not saying this is a bad game, I just feel like you can get what this game is giving you without the constant nickel and diming of having to summon, having to buy these rare elements, having people having certain new characters flagging up that gives you FOMO, where you feel, oh, I've got to get him, he's my favourite character, and you know. Whereas, even if the game came out on console or PC, sure, they might bring out a new character, a Season 2 Season Pass or whatever, but you know what? With those things, you pay like 12, 15, sometimes $20. Buy a Season Pass, you get 5, 6, 7 new characters. With this, you could quite easily pay 25, 50, 100 more and not even get the character you want. So that's where you've got to weigh up. When it comes to this type of game, gacha or no gacha. And I just feel like for what you're getting, you can get the same experience, the same feelings, the same enjoyment elsewhere without needing to go through all the gacha stuff that's there. Again, I'm not shitting on this game, that's not at all what I'm doing. In my other video, I was fairly positive about the elements that are good, and the elements that I'm talking about just now, they're not unique to this. They're not, I mean, this is an issue that's systemic within the gaming space. They are just looking for ways to essentially milk people for the most amount of money possible. And the thing is, they deliver an incomplete game, because even though you do get these constant updates of content that will come every month or whatever, when you actually look at what you get over the course of a year and you actually break it down, you've probably still not got as much playable content as you would have got from an actual full-blooded console game or PC game. The only reason it feels like more is because it's being dragged out, it's being delivered to you in a slow process. So it feels like you're having this big long experience with a game, but it's because of all the months or weeks where you don't have that content and you're waiting for new stuff. You're just endlessly playing the same levels over and over. And there's a reason you don't do that in console games, because you don't need to. You go through the game, you enjoy the experience from start to finish, and then you move on to the next game. These games essentially try to keep you wired in and I guess keep bleeding money from you, you know. Now again, I'm not shitting on the game. I'm not going to cover the game. I did say yesterday when I made a video talking about how to use a controller, etc., that I probably wasn't going to put out any more videos, but I just wanted to kind of give my thoughts on it. But that is it, done. There will be no more One Punch Man games, One Punch Man World videos on this channel. If you enjoy the game, have fun. Honestly, have fun. I'm not trying to talk anyone out of playing it. I think it's a good game. I do think it's a good game. I just feel like you can get this without having to fork over money every 5 minutes to get the most out of it, you know. And again, you can free to play these games, but you can live in denial all you want. You can't have the full experience without paying, okay? And the full experience to me is being able to experience every character and all that type of stuff. You would get that from a console game like this, but you won't get that from a gacha. So while you can free to play it, you will not have the full experience free to play, okay? And the people who want the full experience are going to spend an absolute fortune trying to get all the characters and stuff like that. So have fun, enjoy it. I just think it's worthwhile to note that there's other options out there, and that's all I'm saying. Anyway, I've been Hazink. Love it, hate it, I don't care. It's up to you. Say what you want to say down in the comments. I'll probably get some flack for this one, but that's just the way I am. Peace, and I'll see you later. Bye.